Welcome back, everybody. This is Module 3, and in this module, we'll be talking about how to analyze price in land markets. So before you start analyzing prices with markets you may go after, you need to understand your business model. So if you're flipping, wholesaling, double closing, you need to realize the types of markets that exist. And these markets are rural recreational markets. These are like 2 hours plus outside of a metro, and these generally have the lowest prices. Okay, then there's rural areas that are commutable to metros, so maybe like 30 to 45 minutes outside major metros. These are going to have mid-tier pricing. And then there's metro and mixed metro counties, and these are going to have the highest prices. So understand these before you start analyzing prices with both Land Insights and just in general. Now, if you're a subdivider and titler, or you're looking to get into maybe minor subdivides, you need to take this to another level. So not only do we have these specific markets, rural rec, rural commute, metro, mixed metro, we also have the price per acre gap that we need to consider. So when we're doing a minor subdivide, we need to see that big acreage pieces are selling at a very low price per acre, and small acreage pieces are selling at a very high price per acre. So you need to understand that jumping into this. Maybe you're a flipper, wholesaler, double closer, look into doing subdivides, then Land Insights would be a great way to start analyzing those markets and choosing an area to work in. So let's talk about Land Insights pricing data. Pricing is a very difficult thing to pull off without any software, because we're looking at every single comp that exists and aggregating that data. So it's very hard to get a rough estimate of what stuff is trading at without any database that gives you that pricing data. So it's hard for me to give you any methods without Land Insights, because frankly, it's not worth your time. So in Land Insights, we track median price. So we're looking at median price over certain time lengths. And then we're looking at median pending price and median active price. And these all can be used to evaluate these markets. We also have price per acre. So we have median active price per acre, median sold, and then we give you ranges. So if the lowest listed 10 to 20 acre is $10,000 and the highest listed 10 to 20 acres is $100,000, you'll have a min at 10,000 and a max at 100,000. So you can see what that county is compromised of as far as pricing. So you can see median and you can see that range. So you get like a very good image in your head of what pricing looks like in that market. So one of the big problems land investors have is finding homogeneous priced counties. And what I mean by homogeneous priced counties is a 5 acre in the northeast section of the county trading the same price per acre as a 5 acre in the southwest location of the county. We want to see that same acreage is trading at the same price per acre in every region of the county. That means that everything's the same and it just makes your life easier. It makes pricing easy. In areas like, let's say, San Bernardino County, California, we have some of like the LA metros in that county, and then we have the desert like 100 miles away. So we don't have homogeneous pricing there because a 5 acre in that city area is going to trade so much higher than a 5 acre in the desert area. So it's really hard for us to pull that county and figure out pricing there. We want our lives to be easy, so we want to choose areas that are trading at the same price per acre in every region, okay? So with Land Insights, we've come up with a calculation that allows us to find those homogeneously priced counties. So the calculation that we came up with to calculate homogeneous pricing is called the Genie Index. And the Genie Index captures how well the price per acre of a data set hugs the mean value. So in simple terms, we're seeing how well the price all stays in one place, basically. So on a 1 to 2 acre range, the Genie is calculating how well it's about the same price. In Land Insights, Genie Index goes on a range of 0 to 100. It caps out at 100. So the lower it is on the scale, the more homogeneous the pricing is. So the more close the price per acre is going to be for every single comp. And that assumes homogeneous pricing. So 0 is assuming absolute homogeneous pricing. It's like the best, the easiest place to price possible. But 100 is going to be the hardest. It's like everything's all over the place. All right. So let's look at the table to the right, 1 to 2 acres Genie Index. And there's 3 different counties I pulled in California. And this data is coming from Land Insights. So county 1 is San Bernardino, all right? Our Genie Index is 22.31. So it's pretty low. It's somewhat homogeneous pricing. And if you pull that county up on a map and look at the satellite image overlay, you'll see that it's like primarily desert And then there's a little bit of city in there. And that's what's keeping it from being an even lower Genie, is that city, because 1 to 2 acres in that city is going to price a lot higher than stuff in the desert. Okay. Now let's move on to San Diego County. It's a pretty high Genie index. And San Diego County is like half city, half desert. So the desert stuff's trading pretty cheap, and then the city stuff's trading pretty high, and there's all that stuff in between. So because of the environment change, our Genie index is going higher. Now Fresno County is even higher. And if you pull up Fresno County on a satellite image overlay, you'll see that it's city, agriculture, and mountains. So there's just a crazy amount of changing terrain. There's expensive agricultural fields, there's cityscape, and there's like steep mountains. So our pricing is all over the place. This is not homogeneous. This is the hardest county to price out of these 3. So if I was going to price a county, it would be San Bernardino, but San Bernardino might not have a lot of demand. So maybe I don't go after it. Maybe I'll go after another because the demand's better in San Diego or Fresno. But we don't know. We haven't pulled the demand and the volume. Now, one thing to note, this is very, very important. Do not analyze Genie for 0.2 to 100 acres. You need to keep your acreage ranges small, because as acreage goes up, so does price. And we're calculating how well it hugs the mean value, okay? How well we stay in a certain price. So we could be pulling in 0.2 to 100 acres, a sales price of 100 acres and a sales price of 0.2 acres. So that, it's not a statistical representation at all of Genie, because as acreage goes up, obviously price is going to go up. But when we're looking at 1 to 2 acres, everything's going to be priced about the same in that acreage range. 5 to 10, a little worse, but about the same. 10 to 20, about the same. Do not ever use Genie on 0.2 to 100 acres. It is worthless data. If you're confused about that, look up Genie Index. Try to understand the statistical meaning to it, but it is useless. Do not use it on 0.2 to 100 acres. Only small acreage ranges. Now, I just brought up a lot of pricing calculations and all the ways to analyze pricing. One thing to note is you need a large sample size to make any accurate representation of pricing in that area. If you have like 2 comps supporting a low Genie, that is not enough to say that it's homogeneously priced. You need at least 10 if you're in a county to accurately say it's a low Genie and a homogeneously priced area. Obviously, the more you have in your sample size, the more accurate your estimates are going to be. So do not make any assumptions off of small sample sizes. Make sure those are large sample sizes. Okay, now let's talk about how to find good subdivide markets. So maybe you've already done subdivides, maybe you've done minor subdivides, major subdivides. Maybe you haven't done a subdivide in your life. Maybe you've only flipped land. This is applicable to everybody. So let's say you wanted to find a good subdivide market in Texas. The first step is understanding your statewide platting exemption, especially when you want to do a minor subdivide. When you don't want a lot of rules you have to pass through, okay? You want to make sure it's a good investment and that you can do the subdivide you're dreaming of. So in Texas, the statewide platting exemption, as long as you're outside of city limits or outside of the ETJ, as long as you stay over 10 acres, you do not have to go through any of the platting requirements. So let's say you chose Texas and you want to do a subdivide of a big piece into a bunch of 10 acres. So the way you can use Land Insights with their pricing data to find a good market to do that in is you would want to review the sold price per acre for 10 to 20 acre ranges and 40 to 100 acre ranges. Ideally, you want to see a big difference in the price per acre between those 2 acreage ranges. So when we're looking for markets to do a minor subdivide in, we're looking for at least a 2 times difference between the price per acreage ranges of 10 to 20 and 40 to 100. So we want to see like 10 to 20 is trading at 4,000 per acre, and you want to see 40 to 100 is trading at 2,000 per acre. And ideally, a even bigger gap between those two. And those can qualify a market for a good minor subdivide. So some markets, like price per acre, doesn't really change between the two. In others, it's a drastic change. So we're looking for areas where it's just an absolutely drastic change. So it makes sense to do a value add, subdivide it up, and sell it off. And then we can stack Land Insights filters, and we can look for that difference, and also look for high demand, high volume, or low volume if you want low volume, and just cherry pick your absolute ideal niche market. So you could pick the very best market to flip subdivided properties in it using stacked Land Insights filters. So it's very valuable, and I see subdividing being much more easier to conduct with our pricing and our demand and volume tools within our Land Insights database.